We were carving a niche for New York. New York City had the largest Jewish population of any city in the world. It was then 1.2 million people. And the largest number of survivors in the world lived in New York City. And New York City had no appropriate memorial to commemorate the memory of the 6 million Jews that were killed by the Germans. Ed Koch, the Jewish mayor, said to me, go do it, create a living memorial to the Holocaust. And I remember I said to him, I wanted a co-chairman with me, Bob Morgenthau.
When the opportunity to contribute to the founding of this museum came up, I think he saw that as his service, as a completion of the service that he started in 1941 when he joined the Navy 1 week out of college.
This was not going to be a city thing. This had to come from the state. And that's where I came. I was then the minority leader, but it was also happened to be my district. And so I jumped right into it.
I suppose my role was, I was kind of the senior Wall Street guy, which is, a good place to raise money.
George Klein was a lifelong friend of my dad's. Bob Morgenthau was a longtime friend of my dad's. Manfred Orenstein was a longtime friend of my father's. And so he joined as like the fifth musketeer to try to help push it over the top.
So we had this commission. It was quite passionate. There were very little arguments over content. The passion was to get it done. And that's how we ended up with the building.
I mean, if you wanted to pick the most perfect place to sort of frame the American immigrant experience and even sort of the Holocaust survivors, what better place than right here with Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty?
These are symbols of safety, of homeland, of a place that survivors escape to. For the museum to be looking outward as well as looking inward is a critical part and one of the most beautiful things about where we are and what we are.
I remember vividly the groundbreaking. I still have the shovel from the groundbreaking in my office. My son, who's now 45 years old, came with me to the groundbreaking. We were just talking about it the other day. It was, I think, an emotional event that we're actually doing this.
It was such a unique design. Its silhouette was singular within the city, and that's a lot of what you look for, have a singular place that people could come.
When you look out the window, when you see this edifice, the museum, it's six-sided and six roofs in commemoration of the 6 million Jews. And that was designed by Kevin Roche.
The first part of the museum, the original six-sided building, opened in 1997. But we needed more space, and the plans were put in place to build an eastern wing of the original building. The building of the new wing was the first construction in Lower Manhattan after September 11th, and it was very, very important to my father, who said, we have to show the world that the world goes on. And so the building was built, and of course it carries his name today.
I remember George Klein putting a train car in front of the museum and how powerful that is. Otherwise, the story is more of a theory, and it's less of something that we can touch, less of something we can feel.
As you look around the 700 objects in this exhibition and in the countless 40,000 that we also have, each one of those somehow tells a story that humanizes the people who were lost, humanizes the people who survived.
We were very fortunate, I think, that we had tremendous number of donors. I don't mean financial donors, but donors who gave items. And there were people who were actively soliciting the community for artifacts that would be befitting of the museum's intentions and mission. And it's ever changing, and there are things being contributed to it all the time. So, it's not a passive exhibition. It's one that evolves all the time.
A living memorial to the Holocaust. What exactly does that mean? It means that we memorialize those lost in the Holocaust, those lost to genocide, but we also celebrate culture that has survived.
A living memorial is something that grows and continues to grow, and it is still growing.
You have a theater, you have education rooms, you have artifacts, you have exhibitions. So we created not only an exhibition, but a living memorial. That was the whole purpose. A living memorial is a memorial that tells a story.
Celebrating the community that exists while we memorialize a community that was nearly wiped out is the important duality of this institution.
One of the portions of the Torah, and there's a portion that says, Zachor, remember, v'lo tishkach, and don't forget. We have to remember, because if we don't remember, we'll repeat it again. I hope we did justice. And there were nights I couldn't sleep, because this is not just a simple building a museum. It's building a memorial. How do you take on that responsibility and fail?
There were a lot of questions, and there were periods when, funds were thin, and whether or not it could survive. But in a sense, it had to survive. So one way or another, it was going to be here. Too important.
For my dad, it was at the top of the list. I mean, he really felt this was a life accomplishment for him that would endure beyond the work that he did for generations. And in partnership with amazing people, with the other people on the commission.
Do I feel proud of the museum? Absolutely. I think it's it's a hallmark, and that's a great feeling.
One of the important things to many of us who are involved, and I know to my father when he was involved, is that we are using the Jewish community as an example for all communities. And we are remembering the Holocaust as a way to make sure that people know that that could happen to anybody, and anything we can do to make sure it doesn't happen going forward that's part of the mission, our mission.
I want to emphasize the importance of the purity and the sacredness of the institution. We're building something as a memorial of how the Jews lived, how were they killed, and how did they rebuild their lives. You need to have something of sanctity attached to it. This museum will, please God, be here a long time.